You're listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast, talking TV shows and movies in easily digestible chunks. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and other assorted gender assignations. Welcome back to the Bored to Death Bingecast. I'm Jay, being joined by
Sam.
And we're back for our binge of Season 3 of My Hero Academia. You can't see Sam, he's practically doing Deku's little excited head banging thing from when he was a kid, from when he was stimming.
He was going ape crap for that news report of All Might.
So when we left off, they were back from summer boot camp and the League of Villains attack. Deku's arm is all fucked up.
Very.
Because he went super ham on
he did
muscular.
what, 1 million?
1,000,000%.
Shouldn't his arm just exploded at that point?
I think if he does it again, it probably will.
The doctor says he's got 2 or 3 more times before it's not usable.
The League of Villains captured Bakugo, and Tomura Shigaraki tried to convince him to join up, but didn't realize that Bakugo's just like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to be a hero, damn it.
Well, they also didn't realize he idolized All Might.
That he does actually idolize All Might. You know, that his anger is not because he's frustrated about that he can't use his powers, although there is some of that. It's more that that's just the way he's wired.
Well, also, it's a funny little parallel of Deku idolizing All Might the way he does, and Bakugo idolizing him as well, and their separate branching paths.
Right.
Of getting to where they are.
Yeah, Bakugo...
Or how it made
Bakugo does want to be famous, but he wants to be a hero. You know, he doesn't want... You know, he does want the fame, but is interested...
I don't think he's even interested in money, though. Just the fame. He
just
wants
the fame.
to be known.
He doesn't want the money. He just wants the fame. Whereas Deku wants to help people.
Oh,
he has hero syndrome.
Nami showed me, I think it was a TikTok, where they were trying to coerce Bakugo to joining them. And he's like, no, I'm going to be a hero. We'll let you use the name King Explosion Murder. Bakugo, don't!
King Explosion Murder. I'd forgotten about that.
Bakugo, don't!
And, but Deku and some of his classmates have decided they're going to go try to rescue him because they're kind of idiots. Which is a thing that just happens in these sorts of animes. But it's Deku, Momo, Ida, Shoto, and Red Riot.
Yeah, Kaminari.
I keep forgetting his name. I just think of him as Red Riot because it's easier for me.
Theoretically,
with all the Japanese names, it makes it easier.
That group, when put together, could potentially have a good chance against that group that was inside. Surprise attack
against Shigaraki's group.
Yeah,
not against what they actually found.
No,
because
if they went on to Shigaraki's group,
if they'd gotten to the right place,
they could have a chance to set up, get things ready without Ida telling them no, we're getting out. You'd have Momo being able to set up cannons. You'd have Riot or Kaminari being able to frontline and tank things. All they've really got is they've got a so far what we've seen, a psycho girl that has blood drawing and knives. You've got Dabi, which is fire, which could be countered by, or potentially countered by Todoroki.
I want to see Dabi versus Shoto now, because it's just sort of like, him throwing fire at Shoto and Shoto just being like, seriously?
I don't know, the blue fire...
Blue fire burns hotter.
I'm wondering if it's just the coloration that he has, or if it actually is the hotter fire.
Yeah, that's a good question. But then, while this is going on, the pro heroes are teaming up with the police to launch 2 raids. One on the bad guy bar, and one on this warehouse, basically, which is where Deku and his friends are.
Yep.
Which is where they found out is the Nomu Depot.
Yeah.
And they also found, the pro heroes found the missing pussycat.
Ragdoll.
But even then, Tiger sort of noticed something's not right about her. And that's when All for One showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't see exactly what happened, but we saw the aftermath where building's gone.
For the vast majority, and a good portion of it in front of the building is decimated.
And while All for One shows up at the Nomu Depot, he opens basically a bunch of portals and sticks a bunch of Nomu on the pro heroes.
It's like, there was got to be more than a dozen.
Yeah. And so that's...
Not only the heroes, but the cops on the ground.
Yeah. And Deku, in the narration, compared seeing All for One as basically encountering death.
Yeah, they all, like, literally envision death at the same time.
And they're all...
I wonder if that's a quirk he has. Like some kind of a mental
aura or something.
Yeah, where he gets to get inside his opponent's head so he has an easier time. Maybe, I want this power... I don't even need to fight you. Just being around you, I have this aura.
Yeah, this aura is so
crippling.
It's so dreadful that it can cripple you unless you have really powerful willpower.
Willpower or knowledge of it, knowing what I'm going to see is not real. Like, they just envision themselves dying.
Then again, it may not be an aura. It could just be they witnessed what he's capable of, and they're just like, "Holy shit, we are way outclassed."
Oh yeah.
But we literally left off with All for One basically taking the field and
possibly destroying Best Genus in the process.
Yeah, possibly. Best Genus tried to use his quirk to bind All for One up in his own outfit, and All for One basically just went flex and broke free of it. Which tells you how powerful he is, because Best Genus is,
Is he number
He's like number 5,
4,
I think.
5?
He's in the top 5. I know that much.
So no, we haven't been introduced to 3. I know who 3 is. 2 is Endeavor.
Number 1, of course, is All Might. Who's number 4? You're the one who can look.
I think 5
safely.
I think 5 was Edge.
Edge Shot.
I think that was 5.
Edge Shot is at least in the top 10, because I'm pretty sure they got a bunch of the top 10 people in for the Pro Hero raid. They had like Gang Orca and
Gang Orca. No, I think he might be 5 actually.
I had a list of most of them. They got Gran Torino in as well, but he's not in the top 10 anymore because he's mostly retired. And then again, he showed he still got it. He was able to one-shot Dobby.
Yeah. Well, that was also a surprise attack too.
This is true, but it was still it's possibly also that he hit him in sort of the right place. It's like it was a shot to the side of the jaw with a superpowered kick. And anybody who's watched like MMA or boxing knows if you get a good solid hit to like the side of the jaw, you can knock somebody out straight up.
Oh yeah,
straight up.
Where's this billboard chart? Come on.
Yeah, Sam's been looking it up on his phone. I'm not going to look it up because there's too great a risk of spoilers that way.
Why did they put pictures instead of names? Okay, that doesn't help. And don't tell me deceased. That's not what I want to see. Alright, that's... Genus was 4.
Genus was 4.
And 5 was Edge Shot. Damn, okay. I'm shocked I got that.
So there we go. But yeah, so I think that about wraps up this little intro. We're about to get a throwdown between All Might and All for One, is my guess. And
possibly.
Don't say any more because I want to go into it as clean as I can. But I think this is up to where I know stuff about the series. I've heard about another character that I know is probably in next season, but I don't remember too much about him. Just remember seeing people hats and stuff about how they like him as a character. But anyway,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Probably not, but at any rate. So that about wraps it up for this intro, so we'll see you after the binge.
While the binge is happening, thanks for listening to our podcast. Please give us a like and subscribe and spread the word. You can reach us on social media on Facebook or Twitter at BTD_Bingecast. The Bored to Death Clan is part of the CKCC Radio podcast family, including J Bunny's Music Hub, the Race Nerd Podcast, Real Paranormal Talk, Ranking Tracks, Motivational Moves, Girls Who Like, and The Nerd Table. Please consider supporting CKCC Radio on Patreon. And now, the binge is done, so let's get to the discussion.
And we're back. So, started with a 2-episode Ultimate Showdown, essentially.
Yeah.
As we had One for All and All Might versus All for One. All for One is just goddamn ridiculously OP.
You like how he's like calling out like this times 4, that times 5.
Well, and he just started with simple stuff at first. It was just, like spring-like body, the air cannon was the thing that he used most. Because he's just like...
Well, he also has like strength enhancers or enhancers.
But it wasn't until later when he was actually trying to kill All Might that he finally, went full Akira with the...
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's just like he has so many quirks, and he was just listing off a whole bunch of them, and I'm just thinking to myself, that's probably just scratching the surface of what he has. And
I think that's what he has. I know a little bit more further on in the future that we can probably more discuss later.
Yeah, I don't want to get spoiled too much, but and part of the problem in the initial part of the fight was All Might was holding back because Bakugo was still there. And he didn't want to hurt Bakugo.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, we also learned a little bit more about how All for One's, teleportation quirk, or the warp quirk that he was using.
Yeah, it's fairly new.
That it was still new. He was still learning how it worked, and so he could only basically use it to teleport people to and from his location,
or people that has a strong connection
that he had a strong connection to, which is how he was able probably to get Shigaraki and the League of Villains out of there and teleport the Nomu to their location at the same time.
I wonder if he had there's some kind of quirk that allows him to see through other people's eyes, because how else would he know where everyone's located in order to pull them in? Or if it's just a fixed location kind of thing.
Might be a fixed location kind of thing, I'm guessing.
Why wouldn't he be able to accidentally pull some of the heroes with him?
Yeah, because he was able to dial it in pretty specifically. And that's kind of brings up one of the things I made a note here about. I compared him briefly while we were watching it to Sylar from Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't seen the sequel series for Heroes.
I haven't either. I should.
And to be honest, I didn't finish watching the original Heroes either. But I watched until season 3 or 4.
Up till the circus arc.
I didn't get to the circus arc. I remember seeing the season where Sylar met his father and learned that his father had a similar power to his. Mm-hmm. Because Sylar's superpower, his quirk, I'm just going to use that to use common terminology, basically lets him intuitively understand how something works. Before he learned what that was, it worked especially as a watchmaker, because he was able to put watches and stuff together very easily. Once he learned that he had this ability and what it could do, then he got this urge to basically acquire more abilities. One of the first people that he attacked, or that he went up against, the guy was freaking out about it, and Sylar killed him, and basically by studying his brain figured out how to use that quirk. And that's what he did to every other person that he went up against, is that he was able to basically, he killed them, took their brain, studied it, and then he was able to replicate their ability. And every person that he did this to died until he went up against the cheerleader, because her ability allows her to regenerate.
To heal those wounds.
Mm-hmm. And then he was pretty much unkillable.
Yeah. Didn't he become he wasn't a villain after a while?
He sort of calmed down. He was able to restrain it a little bit. That may have been later into the series. It's just because of the way his quirk functioned. sort of was continually driven to acquire more and more.
I think it's
more.
like certain madness, like a self-drive.
Something like that. But that's one of the differences between him and All for One, is that when Sylar gains a new quirk, he knows instinctively how it works, and he can use it often better than the previous person, because he has a complete and full understanding of it.
Complete, full analytic quirk.
Exactly. Whereas All for One, when he acquires these things, he still has to learn how to use them.
I would think it's similar to what's his name, Monomu?
Monoma?
Monoma, yeah.
The trash talking guy from
where
class
he can just
1B.
tap people and take it, but he can't like perfect it. Like he has to know what the quirk is and how it works. Which is why he was good in the cavalry battle, that he had the 3 people underneath him. They're classmates, they're friends. He knows
how they're classmates, he knows how their power works.
So it would be similar to, I want to know how All for One's quirk of stealing. Does he touch them? Does he have to like draw blood? Does he have to like?
Is it prolonged contact, or can it just be a simple tap on the arm and then he has it?
Is it like fully stolen, or can it be
suspect
recovered?
It's probably something similar to the other quirk we saw him using with his fingers, where they kept like stretching
Forceful.
out. Where because another quirk
called...
that he used was like Forceful quirk activation.
Yeah,
he used it on Kurogiri, who was unconscious, and was able to make him open warp gates to get Shigaraki and the rest of the League of Villains out of there. And he also used it on Magna.
Yep.
Because here we learned how Magna's quirk, magnetism, worked. It's not so much like Magneto, where it's on like metal. It's to do with people, or it's like anything, he can magnetize them. But when he does it to people, it's like men become North Poles, girls become South Poles, or something like that. But his ability doesn't work on himself. He's immune to his own quirk. I think you mentioned something. I don't remember if it was on the recording or just off mic, but you commented that it's just sort of like he's sort of gender fluid or
because they call him Big Sis Magna.
Yeah, and he presents pretty masculine, but it's not very clear. There are some signs there, as it were,
which would make sense why the quirk technically wouldn't work on him.
Mm-hmm. So the League of Tomura Shigaraki's League of Villains get away, thanks to All for One, and then the whole world got to see All Might versus All for One. And
we forgot one of the things that the reason why they had to leave was they lost Bakugo.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right, because
that's a big part.
That is a very big part, because Deku wanted to go in and try to rescue Bakugo because he recognized, and Bakugo recognized it also. It's like All Might can't go all out as long as he's there. So Deku managed to come up with a plan to get Bakugo out of there so that All Might could cut loose. And it was basically they get Riot and with Deku and Ida. Deku basically pushes off a wall while Ida uses reciprocal burst in his legs. Riot smashes through the wall with his hardening, and Shoto basically made a big huge ice ramp, and they basically launch up this. Riot calls out to Bakugo because he'd made a connection with him. It was just like, come on, and Bakugo's like, okay, just launched himself up to them. He grabbed on and out of there.
And of course, talk shit the whole way.
Of course, because that's how Bakugo works. And then All Might was like, okay, now I don't have to hold back.
And then you also had the other heroes came. Endeavor came, swooped in and helped out, along with Edgeshot and
Mount Lady.
Mount Lady helped a little bit there.
Oh, that's right, because Magna tried to use his ability to fire Mr. Compress, and twice. I think it was twice.
Well, yeah, it was definitely too long.
I think it was those two specifically.
I thought it was Splinter.
The lizard guy.
Yeah. I thought it was those two, but I can't remember.
It might have been. And he tried to use his quirk to basically magnetize them and shoot them towards Bakugo. And Mount Lady just suddenly pops up out of nowhere. Tanks
Took one to the face.
Took one to the face. And Gran Torino came in and knocked out Magna.
Oh yeah, it was, and then just chucked them in. They went through the portal.
And then once the kids were out of there, it was down to All Might versus All for One. And in the process of the whole fight, All Might's quirk is starting to wear off because he's passed it on, so it's no longer contained within him. And he only has what's left, what was left of his power. And so, because there was a news helicopter nearby seeing all this, the world saw All Might's withered body. And he does manage to get the willpower to continue on, thanks to basically hearing the cries of all the people in the city basically cheering him on, and the other pro heroes all encouraging him as well.
He was losing a lot of it because he was mental from
he was still reeling from both the fact that he's fighting All for One, the guy that basically nearly crippled him the first time around.
The blast through his abdomen.
Yeah, and then there was all the revelations that All for One made.
Oh, he was dropping lots.
Because we learned Shigaraki's real name. Tomura Shigaraki's real name is Tenko Shimura, or Shimura Tenko, if you use the Japanese version. And we learned that he is the grandson of Nana Shimura, who was All Might's predecessor
and previous wielder
of One for All.
Yeah.
And the revelation, in the midst of all this, is it was revealed that Tenko Shimura had, after his parents were killed, because of her, I think they were targeting them because of her. Probably. She put, I'm just going to call him Shigaraki. She put Shigaraki into the foster care system to try to shield him from the backlash of the hero stuff that she did.
True.
And that just sort of bred resentment, I'm sure. And then All for One found him and it was just looks like nobody's here to rescue you, but you don't have to.
I am here.
But I am here. And
fostered his hate for heroes.
And he worked on him and helped him learn to basically be the opposite of All Might, because All Might is trying to props up the hero society and everything by being the symbol of peace, keeps crime rate down and all that.
And he dropped that on him knowing damn well that he was really close with the previous wielder, that it would just crush him knowing that it is a family member that's working his ass off to drive a wedge between citizens and the hero society.
And it's working. And that's the other thing. But thanks to everybody cheering on All Might, he gets that willpower back. It proves that he's not just, I'm just going to smash you in the face. No, he can learn. He can use his brain, because he basically was able to dodge some of All for One's accurate, swollen arm.
Well, he took it head on first, and then reduced his arm, and then built up the other one. Because
the way One for All was working at that point, he couldn't fully channel it through his whole body.
Which is what Deku was working on when he was doing full cowling of 20%.
Yeah, so he blocked one of these shots with his right arm, and then switched it to his left arm, sidestepped the shot, nailed him in the face, and then just straight up channeled switched it back to the right, and United States of Smash.
Yeah, and that just shot a gigantic tornado straight up into the sky.
It was, and it knocked out All for One.
It knocked out All for One almost through the helicopter that was at a safe distance.
Yeah, and
sent it reeling, but it stayed in the air, thankfully.
Yep, and he, knocked out All for One. They were able to capture him. And we saw the aftermath as pro heroes are showing up to go through the rubble to find survivors and everything.
Rescue heroes.
The rescue heroes. And All Might is there in his withered form because he can't channel his muscle body for any significant amount of time anymore. But he's just standing there overseeing all this, and there's like still a news camera there, and he glances over at it, points at the camera, just goes, "Now it's your turn." As far as the world was concerned, it was him basically warning other criminals. Now it's your turn. I'm going to come for you. But to Deku, it basically
there's so many implications. Like to Deku, it's your turn.
You are one for all now.
Or to the citizens, it could be either it's your turn to
I've done as much as I can. Now it's your turn to be
your own hero, because a lot of people have quirks, or to aspiring heroes to, holy crap, yes, I can do that now. You just showed me, All Might.
And
to the villains, like, he's down, now you're next.
But then again, the League of Villains themselves understand, no, you might be trying to threaten us, but now we know you're no longer there. Because Shigaraki is going to... he's now perfectly aware All Might's no longer a threat.
But here's the problem. Aren't you going to be a little more scared of the next pro hero in line?
Endeavor?
Wouldn't you be a little more feared of that?
Just a little warning, battery is starting to run pretty low. Got 5 minutes left, holy shit. And I don't have my plug down here. So we'll have to just wrap this up fairly quickly, I guess.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, my bad. We're on my original laptop because the previous one we were using can't hold a charge at the moment.
Right.
At any rate, so we got like the aftermath stuff. The teachers are basically forming a dorm system.
For all the classes.
For all the classes to basically try to keep closer tabs on things. They're like, we failed.
So they don't get their families attacked.
So the families aren't threatened and everything, and so they can try to figure out where the leak is.
And also be able to rush over if anything does happen.
We got some like filler stuff with like a best dorm room contest thing.
But again, we're not trying to rush over.
Yeah, we're not trying to rush over it, but it was just pretty filler.
Even though it is filler episodes, you learn a lot about the characters, seeing their rooms, their dorms, and how they are.
And we also got to meet Bakugo's parents, and I see why you love his mom. His mom is just so aggressively supportive.
She take no shit.
Yeah, she takes no shit, and you can see where Bakugo also gets his yelling from. She was constantly yelling at him, and he's like, "Stop it, you hag!" It's like
she just slapped him.
She just smacked him on the head again.
It's like, all right, I'll keep beating your head in.
And then Deku's mom, she didn't.
That was heartfelt as hell.
It was heartfelt as hell because she was like, I don't want him to continue to go to UA because I can't. I'm a mother.
I can't trust you guys.
I can't trust you guys. I worry too much about him. Yes, I'm being overprotective, but I've made peace with that.
She's made a lot of good points throughout that episode.
And All Might, who was there basically trying to convince her, realized, and also when Deku was like, okay, if I don't have to go to UA, fine, I'm still going to be a hero. I can just go to another school. And All Might realizes, this kid still wants to do this.
Oh, he knew.
Yeah, it's true. But he gets down and kowtows and bows to apologize to her. It's like, I have failed as a teacher. I should have been a better example. I should have kept him reined in.
And later on, you get to see he's been reading up on it.
Yeah, that's true. And it was finally enough to convince her. It's just sort of I think she admitted then that she recognizes that All Might admires Deku as much as Deku admires All Might, and it was like, or if you promise me that he will be safe, then he can go. And so that's what we got. Then we got the dorm room, the whole dorm setup stuff. And now they're basically training
for their ultimate moves,
and to get their provisional hero's license.
Also to improve their costumes and their support gear.
Yep.
Which we haven't seen all of it. We get to see it in the next coming episodes. Mm-hmm. What they all got when they went to go see Mei Hatsume
and Power Loader.
Yep.
And Mei Hatsume is just she's going full on mad scientist, and it's freaking hilarious. I was half expecting after that first explosion for her to just pop up and go, "Okay, I think I know what I did wrong."
And something And she's like, oh, that one went
Well,
bad.
and
Oh, well.
that's the thing Power Loader said, is that she's not afraid of failure.
And that
she quoted, like, I think it was, she attributed it to Thomas Edison. I don't know if it was a true quote. It's like, failure is the mother of invention. You know, and that's, that is, it's like, if you always succeed at things, you're never going to really learn a whole lot.
Yeah.
You do learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. And so, you said the next arc is them doing their provisional licensing exams.
And provisional licensing exams goes up against other schools.
And Aizawa said it's like only like 50% actually pass the provisional licensing exams.
Well, they're pretty tough.
Yeah. If you're gonna license people to use their quirks like that, you want to make sure that they're stringent.
Whether it be for help or for hurt.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We all know which one's a hurt and which one's a help.
So, and after the next arc, we're going to then get into the first movie.
Yeah.
I believe. So
we're going to separate the episode that is the lead off into the movie into its own little thing.
Yeah, just that way we're trying to keep them as contained as possible, so we can keep these in relatively similar arc length. But that about wraps it up. As I said, we're running up on the battery on the laptop right here, so that'll have to do for now. But still, we've gone a good length here. But so for Sam, I am Jay, and we'll see you after the next binge.
Thanks for listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast. Be sure to check out our library of past podcasts via CKCC Radio or via our YouTube channel, and give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you after our next binge.